protesters targeted President Obama and other Democratic leaders on April 15th, the party took a hit. When town halls raged and the teabag crowd hit Washington, the party staggered further. Now the teabag guys are on the move again, but in our third story tonight, signs that the party getting hurt by the anti-government teabag people is the Republican Party. This week's Washington Post ABC poll found 51% of Americans say that in next year's congressional vote, faced with the generic Democrat versus the generic Republican, they'll vote for the Democrat. 39% will vote for the Republican. Only 19% have at least a good amount of confidence in congressional Republicans to make the right decisions, far lower than Democrats or the president for that matter. And the number of Americans calling themselves Republicans has fallen to 20%. 20, the lowest since 1983. Closer look shows that number has fallen from 25% just since mid-August. That's not a 5% loss for Republicans. Dropping from 25 to 20 is a loss of a fifth. Meaning since the height of town hall, Palin-Beck death panel palooza, 1 out of 5 Republicans has stopped being Republican. Republicans stopped at 25% back in March, 9 days after Teabag Nation. Republicans were down to 21%. So naturally, Republicans are trying again. That's right. Tea Party Express 2 launches this weekend, coming to 38 cities, according to its press release, 37 on their website. Oh well, previous Tea Parties so successful they now have to hold them in such venues as Wichita's Lawrence Dumont Stadium parking lot, Fallon, Nevada's old Walmart parking lot, a high school auditorium in Tri-Cities in Washington, Bozeman, Montana's Heritage Christian School Gymnasium, and in Amarillo, Texas, John Stiff Memorial Park, picnic area number 4. Seriously, picnic area number 4. Don't interrupt the outing in area number 3, please. A dozen cities have no venue listed at all. According to the tour's Facebook page, 192 people are planning to attend these rallies. In its own press release, a spokesman says about its new video, the web video promoting the tour, quote, "The tone of the ad is upbeat and positive. The name of the upbeat, positive ad is Countdown to Judgment Day." And here is what upbeat and positive sound like to these people.
If you've had enough of the out-of-control spending, bailouts, higher taxes, a spiraling national debt, and big government liberalism, then we invite you to join the Tea Party Express rally nearest you. We'll send a message to the politicians. Come Election Day, we're going to hand you a pink slip and take our country back.
Bring in upbeat and positive MSNBC political analyst Richard Wolff, author of Renegade, The Making of a President, and a senior strategist at Public Strategies. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Correct me if I'm mistaken here, but have not Fox and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and Michael Steele and Sarah Palin, have they all not sold us on a narrative that it's the Democratic Party that is in trouble after all of this?
Well, they've sold the media pretty well on it, and they've sold it through the summer, the apparent collapse of Barack Obama's numbers and the disastrous end of healthcare as we know it. And more importantly, I think this has been a sustained narrative over many years. The idea that the country as a whole is essentially Republican in nature, conservative-leaning. If you look, you break down this decline, not just what we've seen over the last year, but since the start of the Bush presidency, the declines have been steepest in what Republicans dismissively say Democrats think of as flyover country in the Midwest, with anyone who's not a frequent churchgoer, and most worryingly for Republicans, among young voters, people who came of age through the Bush years should, according to historical trends, be leaning towards a Republican affiliation. In fact, the Republicans have seen the steepest declines among that younger age group, which means going forward, they have a very serious problem.
The first statistic that I cited here is bad enough, dropping from 25% of the country in your party to 20% in your party in just 2 months. But there's another number in there. 19% have at least a good amount of confidence that Republicans will make the right decision. That was at 29% at the start of the year. 1 out of 3 Americans who had confidence in the Republican Party 9 months ago no longer has that confidence. What happened?
Yeah, well, we're seeing this across a number of different polls, and it used to be, at least in the summer, when Republicans would say, oh, well, everyone in Congress is just the same. Democrats are pulling away in that trust or confidence matchup question. And I think it shows the limit of these sort of parliamentarian tactics that Republicans have used. You can oppose, you can block, you can threaten filibusters, you can do all the stunts they do on the Hill, and block and work as a pretty effective opposition party. But come election time, You haven't broadened the base. You've frustrated the government party, but you haven't actually done anything to find new voters. That's exactly where they're starting out this next cycle in, and it's not good.
And the idea that, here we go, is another set of Tea Parties, which are now getting laughable prepared attendance numbers and locations. When they tried to scare everybody all the time and in election cycles, and that began to fail in 2004, and then it failed in 2006, they just tried harder to scare everybody all the time for 2008, and that really failed. Is this connected to why they're back to the same things? Tea Party's paranoia, only meaner. I'm thinking of the Ray Goulding's old line, "Since you don't understand English, I'll just raise my voice."
Well, it worked to a degree. Actually, it worked pretty well in 2002 and 2004. But back in 2002, the parties were at parity in terms of this self-identification in the polls. They were all running around 30% in terms of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Those tactics, different era, they just haven't worked in the latter Bush years. So, they're going to scare people all the way to an independent party.
Richard Wolff of MSNBC, author of Renegade, senior strategist with Public Strategies. As always, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.